A couple of years back, I did a series where I messed around in some of the great games from the past, and people really enjoyed that series, and for some reason I just didn't continue it. It got to a point where I just stopped doing them with no logic as to why, and I couldn't even tell you why, and ever since I've just put off the idea of doing any more, when in reality I should have just done them, and I regret not doing so. And so today is going to be the revival of that series. If you've known this channel for a while, you'll know that I'm on about Still Gold, a series where we'd shine the spotlight back on the greats of previous generations and highlight their greatness through having a laugh. But not in the fashion of commentary or a video essay, but rather just me documenting, re-experiencing this game. And so I thought, what better way to kickstart a new generation of Still Gold videos than with one of my favourite games from the Xbox 360 generation, Fable 3. Before we begin, I think it's fair to say that I recently purchased an Xbox Series S, and by recently I mean earlier this year, and people would think, is that because you want to play any of the upcoming exclusives? What exclusives, besides from Halo, I guess? And the answer is no, I actually bought it for Game Pass, but not just for any reason, but rather to play the old exclusives that I hadn't been able to play in years. When I got the bloody thing set up, Fable 3 was one of the very first games that I fired up.
And so our story begins.
The first decision we have to make in this game is to decide the gender of our character. It's a pretty simple choice, there's not really much to talk about. And then we're treated to an opening cinematic in which we see the life of a chicken as it tries to escape various different forms of painful death, along the way showing off the oppression of an industrial age, as is the setting of the game. You could argue the chicken is used as a metaphor, however I also think it's just as likely that Lionhead Studios really liked watching chickens get tortured, because it seems to be a recurring theme in these games. Beyond that, chickens literally show up everywhere in Fable, and if you haven't played Fable before, you will see what I mean. The game properly begins with us being rudely awoken by a very old-looking man. Hurry up and die, you prick. One of the first things we learn is that I have a dog, which is amazing because I love dogs. Ah, look at him. Look at his face. Look at his face. He's so cute. I'm going to give him a rude name. Our first royal duty of the day is to dress ourselves, which is a shame because I think the most distinguished option is to just get about in your pajamas. Well, I suppose I'm not complaining. I have more important things to worry about today. Of course, I leave my room and begin to do the royal thing, burping in the faces of all of my subjects.
But it's not my place to speak of it.
One does enjoy the calm of the castle, far from the filthy throngs that pollute the city.
Ah, the prince. Hello, sir.
I just don't get it, I'm afraid. I was in a great mood till you did that.
Ah, the prince. Hello, sir. My prince.
For my next castle visit, I cannot go. Always take a walk here in the hope of bumping into royalty. Oh my! Look who's there!
I can't believe what Logan's done. I just can't believe it.
How are you today, sir?
No one has contributed more to the royal treasury than I have. It's only right that I'm treated differently. The riffraff in this kingdom do nothing but complain. They should count themselves lucky they're not chained in a mine somewhere.
Hey dog, let's play fetch. Go! Well, aren't you fucking stupid? You know, it must be really shit being a chicken in the Fable universe. You're just here, minding your own business, and then yeet. See what I mean? Fable just loves being cruel to chickens. I don't understand it, but I respect it. He's a good boy, he's a good boy.
Who's my best friend? Yeah.
Now that I've spent my morning burping in the faces of everybody I could find, punting chickens and giving my dog fuss, it's time to continue with the actual main story. We meet Elise, who's sort of like a love interest to the male protagonist. However, she stops becoming relevant after the first 15 minutes of the narrative, and what she explains to us is basically our brother Logan, the king, is a certified mad cunt. Rumours are circulating that he's had somebody killed, and that people are getting uneasy. So she asks us to take her by the hand and go to the castle kitchen, because that's naturally where people gather when they feel disenfranchised by their monarch. I'm not entirely sure what she expects me to do. I literally spent my morning burping in these people's faces. Oh. Hello.
You're not going to leave me stranded in this wilderness, are you?
Sorry, Elise. Business is business. Oh, look. A whole 5 people.
Welcome, Your Majesty. Such an honor to have you here today. The staff are convened to hear your words. Whenever you're ready.
You can give an encouraging or a harsh speech depending on what you're going for, but frankly I think my idea of a speech would go much better. This morning I woke up and farted and smelt the air and realised that something was wrong. I'd realised that I'd eaten one dodgy curry too many, and I decided in that moment no more. I'm gonna cleanse the air by burping in the faces of every man, woman and child in Albion. I've spoken to a whole 5 people. The crisis has been averted.
You call that a royal speech? You didn't shout, you didn't threaten, and you were far too reasonable. It was bloody marvellous.
Oh yeah, this is Walter. He's one of the main reasons why I love Fable 3 so much. He's not your dad, but he's basically your dad, but on steroids.
Right then. Ready for today's training?
I've been burping in people's faces all day. Can it wait until tomorrow? These purple carpets make this place look like a really fancy Wetherspoons. We're quickly stopped on our way to training by a group of people at the front door, asking us to sign a petition to end poverty. So of course I'd use that petition to wipe my ass. If there's no such thing as poverty, there's no such thing as rich, so you can go and suck my dick. Okay, that was just uncalled for. I feel bad after one evil deed. I have no clue how Katie Hopkins does it. Next on the day's agenda, training. Walter wants us to hit him with all we've got, but I'm too busy destroying the statues.
Teach me how to be a hero.
Every single time. But I've done my best. Now I need you to do your best. Strike me. What are you
Hang on a
afraid
minute,
of?
Walter. There's still
Hit me.
statues that need demolishing.
Strike me now.
Are you ready, Walter? You're about to
Come
get
on.
knocked out. Man, I'm hard as fuck.
You only went and broke it. Look at that.
It's not the only thing I've gone and broken. There are no more statues in the room. Elisa's back and apparently it's kicking off. Oh yes, now I get to use my swordsmanship skills on the peasants. Unfortunately, apparently I have to be the good guy. So I guess now we've got to go talk some sense into Logan, and I mean, what could possibly go wrong in telling a crazed tyrant to step off?
You will shoot to kill. Start with the ringleaders, and if necessary, continue with the crowd.
I don't know what to do, guys. Michael Fassbender's on a mad one. We step in, of course, and because the man's on a power trip, he doesn't listen. Who would have thought? And instead decides to teach us a twisted object lesson, giving us a chance to save the protesters. However, we've got to choose between saving them and saving Elise. Between random nobodies I don't know nor give a shit about and the potential of getting laid, it was a no-brainer. But he didn't expect me to decide that quickly, did he, you purple-loving prick? Anyway, it's obvious we can't stay here. We need to escape and spark a revolution. Bloody hell. Walter's timing was convenient, so we dash out to the garden to a secret tunnel because naturally there'd be one out there. Before we could get far along this tunnel, a statue gives us a magical frisbee. Oh man, no way, I fucking love frisbees. The magical frisbee teleports us to a different realm where we meet a blind woman named Teresa who appears out of nowhere. Blah blah blah, something along the lines of destiny. Shut the fuck up, I'm gonna open this box. Ooh, a wanking glove. Christmas has come early. With emphasis on the come. Hey guys, check out my new magical wanking glove. And just like that, the furious fiery nut opened a secret passage. Now we can finally escape from the madman Logan and truly kickstart the revolution. And it wasn't long before our first trial arrived. Bats. Nothing prepares you for a civil war quite like bats. Whatever, kill them with fire. Oh man, I really hope we don't run into any more bats. Oh look, teleportation. Isn't that fancy? We arrived in a tatty looking place called the Sanctuary. I like it here, it's nice and snug. Oh no, Jasper fell over. I'm sure he'll be fine, don't worry about it. This magical table lets us fast travel anywhere, which is pretty cool, so naturally we find ourselves in the middle of an impoverished village in the mountains. And all anyone can keep talking about is how hungry they are.
This is what Logan has reduced them to.
Trading my daughter some food. She's really good, honest. So hungry.
I haven't eaten for days.
I know these people are poor and they can't afford to eat, but burping in their faces seems like the royal thing to do. Sorry I'm late again, Walter. I was just flexing on the poor people. I don't think Walter is pleased. Got some money to go purchase me some clobber, and the rest of it I'm gonna use to buy food and eat it in front of poor people. That's quite a regal look. I reckon it will suit me. But first, like I said, I decided to give this dog a rude name. Penis Biter. Now that I blend in with the unfortunate, maybe the impoverished will see me as a burping messiah.
A reliable way to gather a few followers is by simply interacting with people. Try it. I'm sure you'll make an impression.
If I ever get hold of that Logan, I'll wring his neck.
Getting out among the people has paid off. Remember that interacting with the citizens of Albion is generally a reliable way to gain followers.
I can't believe that burping is making this video so much longer than it needs to be. This is where we meet Sabine, a short Aggie fella who appears to be the leader of the Dweller people. He has a questionable Welsh accent and looks like a good meal would kill him off. And then you've got Boulder, who's hench as fuck despite there being a famine. Oh my god, why is Penis Biter licking his chesticles? Sabine asks us to go and do some bits and pieces to help the Dwellers, and naturally we need the allies, so of course we're going to go ahead and do that, sending us to the town of Brightwall for some reason. On the way, Penis Biter reveals that he's an experienced treasure hunter, and so on this adventure down the mountain we find ourselves digging in spots more than we find ourselves moving. This is the most dramatic introduction to wolves that I've ever seen. Usually open worldish games just throw them at you as some form of cannon fodder enemy. We don't exactly have cannons, so they'll have to do with fire. Since I'm practically cooking them alive, maybe the Dwellers could eat the wolves. But as it turns out, beggars can indeed be choosers. Oh look, more treasure. If it's this easy, why don't the Dwellers just come and find it themselves? Ah, Brightwall. The epicenter of an economic crisis that nobody even sees coming yet. You'll see what I mean soon. But for now, we're here with a purpose.
Or are there any light and airy ones?
What can I do for you then?
We need to retrieve something from Brightwall Academy that apparently only a hero can recover.
The library is closed by order of the king. We don't serve drinks, we don't sell chicken feed. Please leave before the soldiers suspect you of gaining any real knowledge.
Bitch, let me in, I've got a magical frisbee. And just like that, now this place is open for business. At least to me. The man leads us to this big heavy door that can only be opened by that magical frisbee of ours. It really is magical. I find it amazing that everybody just seems to know what we're after. Is my plan to spark a revolution really that obvious? And if so, why haven't I been shot yet? As it turns out, the lower level of this library is the perfect place for the get rich as slowly as humanly possible scheme, because if you search enough bookcases, you will find the occasional pot of gold. I'll be able to afford a Freddo soon. This is the life. Before long, we come across a magical hit pad that needs to be hit by a sword or a hammer or something. The issue being we don't have one, but thankfully Jasper has come in clutch, discovering that there is indeed an armory in the sanctuary, inside which there are weapons. Of course, naturally, we could give these weapons names, which is the biggest mistake that any developer could ever make, because I will get my hands on it, and what follows can only be described as heresy. So this sword is appropriately named, You Are Fucked. As for the hammer, it's a hammer. I'm not sure what else there is to say about it. Hollow Man. Jesus Christ, what is this, an incel subreddit? Fortunately, the sword came just in time, as now I can abolish the abominations. True men fight in pajamas. Let me in! If anyone else was down here, they'd see a man in pajamas fucking up zombies. But this target requires shooting. It's a shame I don't have a gun. Oh yeah, I forget Jasper just knows when to interject with these things. Say hello to the boomer remover. As for this lovely rifle here, I just refer to it as an American crisis. What on earth was that noise? Ah yes, more boner men. As you can see, I've ditched the pajamas because real men fight naked. Oh, a music box. Ah yes, the road to rule. I hope Teresa doesn't mind seeing me naked. Oh wait, she shows us that Michael Fassbender really loves his poetry, however something tells me that he's not a scholar. But then again, I can barely speak and I don't even have any clothes on, so who am I to judge? Back in Brightwall, now we can participate in the true game that is Fable 3. Collapsing the world's economy through making pies. The money you can earn through doing these mini-games just gets a bit ridiculous after a while. First I conquer the pie monopoly, and then I conquer the world. For now, I make their pies, and while they eat them, they will not suspect that I'm going to buy all of their houses and put the rent through the roof. You can also play the loot to earn money, but it sounds a bit like arse. And then of course there's blacksmithing, however I don't believe you can do that in Brightwall. It's good to know that Fable 3 knows you can't beat a bit of good old-fashioned capitalism. For some reason my brain wanted to say cannibalism, but we're not going to talk about that. Hey Walter, look, I have no clothes, and I've also discovered capitalism.
Bloody marvellous.
I knew he'd be supportive. Like I said, he's like your dad, but on steads. He's found a passed out bandit in the upstairs of an inn, so he tells us to put on his clothes and go to a shop and buy a beard and some tattoos, which apparently you can just glue on. Hello, Mr. Whippy, I really didn't expect to encounter you here today. Why? Are we dressed like a wonky pirate, you ask? Well, we've got to infiltrate a bandit camp. Jesus, this dog is really good at finding treasure. I wish my dog could find treasure, but all he seems to be able to find is exciting new places to shit. And that's when he's not too busy furiously barking at everybody. Hello, bandits, it's me, your friend, fellow bandit. This is really not what I was expecting when Walter said infiltrate the mercenary camp. Yeah, he does this forever now. Before long, they discover that I'm not actually one of them, which allows me to fall back onto plan B, which is killing them all. There appears to be treasure in this sandbag. Before long, we meet the leader of these mercenaries, a really large fella named Saker. I slapped him in the face and now we is boys. I killed all of his friends and slapped him, and now he's my ally. I find this to be a really strange turn of events. I'm not even entirely sure if he ever shows up again. Ah well, back to making pies. I suppose after all, the economy is not going to collapse itself.
Pie mastery, right there.
I'm making some serious dough, man, and I'll leave it up to you to decide whether or not that pun was intended. Whenever I play Fable, I simply spend too long doing this. Before long, I discover that I've got to go and build up my reputation around town, otherwise these guys won't help the dwellers, and I won't get my allies. Not that I'm entirely sure why I need them as allies, but something does tell me that Sabine would kick the shit out of you in a Tesco car park. Who the fuck is this? Didn't take me long to find a man who needed help reclaiming his chickens, which to me seems like destiny. He gives me a really cool chicken outfit because apparently this is what you need in order to round up chickens. Sod it, I'll be a big chicken, I guess.
The other day and he's...
For some reason, this unorthodox method appears to work. Knock, knock, open the door. It's me, Chicken Man. Nobody's answering. How rude of them. Open the fucking door. After gathering all the chickens, I learned the chicken farmer's true intentions.
We might have destroyed the entire town, possibly the world.
They might gone off to live peacefully on their own. They might have created great works of art or literature. We don't know. And we have no right to take away their fundamental liberties based on our own prejudices.
Well, now it's clear taking away their liberties isn't enough. I have to assume you'll try to facilitate another escape. And that means the only choice is to kill them all.
This guy's a full-on chicken doomsday maniac. Knock, knock. Open the door. Where did he come from? Oh, hello, miss. Until next time, friends. I mean, I should probably question the man with too many gnomes asking me to collect a mysterious package in the woods, but I just don't give a shit. In fairness, finding the package took me about 30 seconds. I mean, that's not ominous in the slightest. Of course, he uses this gargoyle to bring the gnomes to life, because who wouldn't do that? Peacefully sleeping at night is overrated anyway. Oh, they're singing, that's nice. They definitely won't become deranged murder beasts later on.
In the morning when I wake up and I stumble out of bed, I put my pointy hat on my little pointy head. And it doesn't much matter if the sky is rain or shine, because the gnome is happy all the time.
As it turns out, sparing the chickens was the correct move because now there are chicken races and naturally you can place bets. I'm so glad my crippling gambling addiction was appetised. Next you'll find me queuing up with bagheads in a Betfred. Next I return to the Brightwall Academy where I found myself being eaten by a book. The next few minutes are really strange as you've got to act out several scenes from different plays in order to escape, and honestly my energy to make jokes about it has just fallen off the face of the earth. But it's a really good time to bring up one of the things that I love about Fable, and that is that you never know what to expect at any given moment. Anyway, the reason why I was doing that is because these clowns wanted to recover a book of a play that was lost because apparently the writer of it didn't think it was good enough, and spoiler alert, it fucking wasn't.
Great big giant bosoms.
What the hell was that?
Biggest load of old tosh I ever saw. It didn't even make sense.
Worst play ever.
I don't know how, but that's how I won over Brightwall. They make me promise to reopen the Brightwall Academy when I become king, so yeah, obviously I signed that with no intention of actually doing it. I just love that I'm wearing a chicken costume in this scene. Then I return to the Dweller camp, where it seems like Sabine is happy to see me, and I get the vibe he's not used to that feeling. And just like that, I've won the allegiance of the Dwellers, which means they now like me, which is a far cry from what they must have felt when I was burping in their starving faces. Little did they know my next task was buying all of their houses, and then renting them back out to them, but at extortionate prices. And this is just the beginning. I'm gonna be a great king. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Fable 3 is still gold. Do you still have no clue what this video series is even about? Me neither. But sometimes it's good fun to just go back and revisit a game and enjoy the hilarious memories that come along with it. And I know I suppose this is a controversial title, especially to Fable purists who aren't necessarily too keen on Fable 3. However, I don't care because I love it. You can have your opinion and I have mine. Don't worry, I have plenty of love to share for the other Fable games that will come soon for sure. But for now, that brings us to the end of today's video. So thank you all for watching. I really hope that you've enjoyed. Be sure to go ahead, leave a like, subscribe, share the channel with your friends and all that wonderful stuff. That would be super fantastic. And with any luck, I'll be seeing you all very soon with another video at some point. But until next time, take care and goodbye.